Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the House of Bricks Live. We continue to bring best in class people, top CEOs, Super Bowl champions, NBA champions. And today I am very excited to introduce a special guest we met through a good friend of mine, Derek Anderson from the Miami Heat. If I went through all of his accomplishments, it'd probably take up all 30 minutes, but also, very humble guy. So Charlie Ward, I'd like to welcome you to the House of Bricks Live.
Hey, I thank you guys for bringing me to the House of Bricks. Derek is a great friend. I got a chance to play with him in New York, so and I appreciate y'all adding me to the list of CEOs and all the big time people that you guys have.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And again, I know you're a very humble guy, but definitely accomplished a lot in your career. So first of all, helping Florida State win their first national championship, winning the Heisman Trophy. And then you were actually able to be the first Heisman Trophy winner to play in the NBA. But on your journey, as you may or may not know, the House of Bricks, we teach people to use every experience like bricks. You can either carry them with you and they weigh you down, or you can build them to lay them down to build a strong foundation. So on your climb to the top, I'm sure you faced adversity along the way. What were some of your biggest challenges?
Where would you like for me to start? I think I like the brick analogy. Very well said, because we have a choice. We have to make choices, and one of my big things is we have to make choices in our lives and be willing to live with the consequences of those choices. And so if we don't want to live with a certain consequence, then we need to think about our choices that we make. And so, I've had numerous setbacks that I was able to build upon. All of them were challenging. Freshman year in high school, one of the things that I wanted to be was an athlete. What I was, that's what I did. I enjoyed doing it. However, God saw fit for me to avenue because He took my physical gifts away. And I had a knee injury in high school, which set me back, and I had to go think about my life in general. So our relationship with the Lord grew during that time, as well as my academic interests, because that's all I had. Because my knee I wasn't able to play, and so that helped me to develop a sense of being well-rounded from an academic standpoint as a sports standpoint. And that was a challenge because, as you know, when something is taken away that we really, really like, there are times where you feel like, I don't know if I can make it, or if this is for me. We don't go through the tough times or the grind. That's something I had to do, and I had to find something other than what I like to do, which is play sports. And so my parents saw fit for me to be surrounded around people that would help me take my mind off of sports, and also, put me in so that I could be a servant to my team. And so that was very helpful to learn how to be a servant leader. And that was something that I was grateful for, because, the time where depression wasn't as heavy, but it was there. I'm grateful that I was able to find other ways to not just sit there and think about my situation, my dilemma. Of course,
Yeah, you said so many good things in there. I'll try to break them down because our community is a lot of entrepreneurs and business people, right? And so their identity gets wrapped up in the business, and it's hard to separate who they are from what they're doing. And I tell people unbelief is not an option. You can't not believe in something. Faith and fear, they coexist. It's which one are you going to choose to believe in? And it's, it's amazing your parents did that and kind of helped you shape that identity outside of sports. And you talked about leadership and surrounding yourself with the right people. So in that Valley experience, the power of community is really important. So you obviously recovered from that injury, went on to play at Florida State, winning the Heisman. What was that like to have so much success in college football and then transition into the NBA?
Well, if success is what we make of it. Um, you know, I had to wait 3 years to be able to play quarterback, and then once I got an opportunity to play quarterback, I struggled. I'm doing my first few games, and it was very tough on me because because I was throwing interceptions. I got taken out a few times, and so when we talk about success, there's always failures that you have to respond to. And grateful that I had teammates and coaches that were behind me to be able to continue to push me. But of course, I had to suck it up and get to work as well, find out what I can do better so that I don't make the same mistakes over and over. And so I figured that part out. And once I did, we were able to take it to the next level. But I played basketball for 4 years at Florida State. After my true freshman year, got an opportunity to play basketball, and that's actually where I got a lot of my experience and my name recognition was started in basketball at Florida State. But as I continued to move on and transition to my junior and senior year of playing quarterback, that's where I was noticed by the nation after winning the Heisman. But the transition to the NBA was a tough one because I went from being a top player in college football to not getting drafted in the NFL to being drafted number one in the first round to not get an opportunity to play, being a rookie. I mean, so there are a lot of emotions there, but grateful that I had great teammates to be able to help me. And, at the time, my girlfriend, my wife, today was there for me. My mom and dad were there to be a sounding board. And I was able to push through those challenging times as a rookie of not play. And then after my second year, after my first year, we got a new coach. And the new coach decided that I wasn't good enough. So he put me on the bench, and I had to, navigate my way through that. So there are a lot of different challenges I had to fight through to be able to get there, but perseverance helped me get over it.
And are there any practical tips you can give people or practices that you're doing even now on a daily basis to build that self-confidence and self-leadership and surrounding yourself with the right people?
Well, the first thing is you have to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. That plays a big part in just your overall success. Because when you have people that are like-minded, you won't always, but you will be able to agree to disagree. But you continue to move forward with the same plan of action as far as what you're trying to get to in the end. So I would just say having people that are like-minded, different thoughts, to be able to help challenge your thinking. But people who have similar goals is very, very important to have success. And then of course a work ethic. I tell our players all the time, confidence. People talk about I lack confidence. Well, I say the more work you put in and the more prepared you are, the more confident you will be in the work and the things that you're doing. And so when you lack confidence, I say go and find out what you're doing wrong or what you may be doing right, and then excel or focus on those things, because everything expands. And so when we focus on our successes and our failures, those things expand and we're able to, overcome them.
Yeah,
Learn from
and
them, I
that's
should
great.
say.
I mean, I always tell people your network is your net worth, and show me your 5 friends, I'll show you who you are. So I'm raising 4 boys right now. 3 of them are teenagers, and just kind of going through those same things, right? Who are you around? What are their goals, and do they align with who you want to be and where you want to go? And we have a lot of entrepreneurs out there listening, and I always make parallels to sports and business because they're so similar. You're competing, you have to build a team, and you're considered, at least from my perspective, one of the greatest leaders and quarterbacks of all time. And a quarterback is very similar to a CEO. You've got to, understand the plays. You got to understand the strengths of who can do what and the importance of timing. Anything that you can share just from your experience as a quarterback, and same thing as a point guard, right? I mean, you're orchestrating, the offense. So any advice you can give us on, leadership in terms of how to get the most out of the people around you and to establish yourself as a leader? Because a lot of people say they want a leader, and just because they have the leader title doesn't mean people want to follow you.
That is true. But I do know people like to follow servant leaders, people who are willing to do the things that they don't want to do. Because, I mean, we all like to follow people that show us the way. Not only just talk about it, but show us the way. And that was the way I was able to break in as a quarterback. I started out as a punter that was on the scout team. I was a scout team quarterback for 3 years. That a lot of people, don't know. That's the way I started. And in college, and as I just mentioned, as a rookie, I was not even. I didn't play. I played 44 minutes in NBA my rookie year, and then new coach comes in. I get sat on the bench for no apparent reason, just because he wanted to bring in his own guy, and that's something I had to, deal with. But one of the things I've learned as a leader is you have to surround yourself with people who bring different skill sets to the table. I talked about being like-minded, but they also have to bring different skill sets to the table. And you want to allow those individuals to soar in their strengths. And so I'm not a micromanager. I am one that gives instruction and expect you to do what we've asked you to do. Excel in your role. That's one of the things I talk to our guys about. One of the things I was able to do as an NBA player was I was able to play 11 years because I knew my role and I excelled in my role. And so that's something that I practice is excel in your role. So whatever job has been given, be the best that you can be to make the team whole. And so I just work to make sure that we find people that have different skill sets, they excel in their role, and then at the end of the day, like I tell my players, you might not like your role, but we're asking you to play that role because your role could change. So we have to do a little with a lot, and then so that we can be trusted with more. So I think those are some key components to being a great leader.
Yeah, and what you said there's awesome, and I do want to talk to you about what you're up to now. But what inspires me, guys like you, Derek Anderson, Wayne Simeon, is what you've been able to do after your career as a professional athlete. Everyone looks at, the big paychecks they get, but what they don't understand is athletes have to amortize that over the next 50 years of not playing. And so you've been able to make an impact after your career. So what are you up to now?
Well, one of the things I like to talk about is, life is about building relationships. And while we are in the NBA, we have a network of individuals that are doing a lot of the same things. And also, we've had teammates, that are doing very similar things, and we're collaborating on different things that we're doing as far as the projects and the work that we're doing in the community. And so, my wife and I coach high school basketball first, and I do some public speaking as well. And my wife and I are currently, we have our foundation, and our foundation supports youth character development through the arts, sports, and education. And then we also help disaster relief efforts. And so that's our focus for our foundation. And we're currently in the process, have a breakfast coming up, championship breakfast coming up. We're doing a shoe drive here for local Pop Warner for the football players, and also the cheer, giving out shoes for them to be able to have. And then big long-term project that we're planning currently is we're looking to build a youth and family sports education and wellness campus here in Tallahassee, which would be a community campus to be able to serve sports, of course, education component, and then have some wellness. And it's all in a partnership that we're looking to do here, which will have like indoor courts, have an indoor turf. We'll have some a couple of learning labs, have some outdoor fields, multi-purpose, and everything, of course, would be multi-purpose, not just one aspect. So it's all-encompassing project. So one-stop shop type of model, because we'll have a counseling center, uh, physical therapy, quite a few things, batting cages, those types of things, to be able to have a one-stop shop for youth programming, as well as have some adult programming for the family.
Well, that's awesome. Is there a website I can have Paul drop it in the link if people want to help support you and what you're doing? I'm sure he can look that up and drop it in for us.
It's the wardfoundation.org.
Okay. Yeah, we'll put that in the link, and I'm sure there's some listeners out there that want to get behind you. Kurt Schmidt just asked a question on the chat here, and this is a question I often have: is how do you build relationships authentically? Right? You talked about your network and relationships. Any advice on how you build those relationships and trust with people?
There will be some relationships that will be seasonal. There are quite a few people that, when I was playing, they were there. They were, we communicated a lot. And now that we've moved on, those aren't, not say they're there consistently. So there'll be some seasonal relationships. And depending upon where you are, I know for myself, I do a lot of traveling. And so I work to try to continue to that I meet, wherever I go. And so one of the things that I've heard is, I just try to be consistent, meaning, I text a lot of coaches that I know after games, and, just in the off season, periodically, I text people in the business world from the outside that I know, just to check in. And so it's not every day, but just periodically, just to check in to see how people are doing. And I think that's something that I've, done for quite some time. And so I think it's important that you just stay connected to people that, and some of them are, may be able to help you in what you're doing and vice versa. And so I just think it's important that you stay connected in some form of fashion and just be genuine in that standpoint, where you're not just always calling people for a handout. That does happen. What I mean by handout is if you're doing something
Right.
and you want them to support you, that does happen. And people see your heart. And if you have the right heart for me, they're either going to say yay or nay, or I can help you in whatever form or fashion that may be.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. And it is consistency without an agenda, but sometimes you do have to ask people for things, and that's why I've been able to keep such great relationships over the last 25 years. Just a simple text message can keep that connection going. And I know you're having a hard stop here coming up, and again, appreciate all your time. The last question I had is just in regards to your faith. We share the same faith. How important has that been in your journey, and what impact is that making now for you?
Well, having a relationship with Jesus Christ definitely puts things in perspective for you, and it helps you respond differently. But also, when you don't respond a certain way, there's that conviction that you need to change whatever it is that you were responding to and how you responded. And so it just gives you the confidence to know that, you can overcome anything, because as a follower of Jesus Christ, we know that he overcame the world. And the things that we're going through, we can look at him. He's like our servant leader, as I just talked about earlier. So that gives me hope that all things are possible, regardless of what it looks like. But also, it gives me hope to keep moving forward when things don't go according to my plan, because I trust that he's going to provide what he said that he said I would be able to receive. And just know that if it doesn't happen, it wasn't part of God's plan for you to make it happen. And so I have this saying: everything that happens in our life is part of God's plan. And people are like, well, I got this. Well, it was part of God's plan for you to learn something from that lesson, whatever that lesson is. If it's, you stump your toe, or you got burned in business, whatever it may be, it was part of God's plan for you to learn how not, or what to do next, so that you again, and also for you to be able to share that wisdom and knowledge with someone else. So, yes, there are things that happen in our lives that we don't care for, but I do believe it's part of God's plan for us to learn those life lessons so that we can help someone else.
Yeah, and that's the absolute spot on mindset of the House of Bricks. Like I said, using every experience like a brick to build that foundation. And our tagline is, building a strong foundation brick by brick. So you have a choice to take every experience as a positive and use it to continue to build. And one of the things you said that's really important is what happens to us isn't always about us. When we go through things, we gain the authority to then help others through it. So it's the power of mentoring, community, and being mentored by others. So, Charlie, I want to thank you for your time today and joining the House of Bricks live. For those of us that joined us, appreciate your continued attendance to our events. We're continuing to build a strong foundation brick by brick. And Charlie, thank you for your time. We will see everybody next week.
Thanks, Adam, for having me.
Thank you.